The rain hammered against the windows of Riverside Diner like 1,000 angry fists. It was barely 7 a.m., but the place was already packed. Construction workers hunched over steaming coffee. Night shift nurses devoured plates of eggs and bacon. Retirees rustled newspapers between bites of toast. And in the corner booth, a man sat alone, watching everything. His name was David Sterling, though nobody in that diner knew it. The denim jacket he wore was faded and worn. His jeans had seen better days. The cheap watch on his wrist screamed discount store. But the man wearing those clothes was worth $400 million. He owned this diner, and 23 others just like it. He'd driven 3 hours through the storm to see what was really happening at Riverside, the location that was hemorrhaging employees like a wound that wouldn't stop bleeding. A woman emerged from the kitchen, carrying 3 plates balanced perfectly on her arms. She was young, maybe late 20s, with rich dark skin and tight braids pulled back from her face. Her name tag read Kesha M. Her uniform was old but immaculate. She moved through the chaos with practiced grace, dropping pancakes at table 6. Refilling coffee at table 9, smiling warmly at the elderly man who'd just changed his order for the 4th time. "No problem at all, Mr. Davis. I'll get that fixed right up for you." David watched her work with growing admiration. She was efficient, quick, never wrote anything down. When a trucker's eggs came out wrong, she fixed it before he could complain. When a child knocked over orange juice, she had it cleaned in seconds. But something was off. Every few minutes, her eyes would dart toward the storage room at the back. Her smile would falter for just a second. She'd check her phone, and her face would tighten with worry. "Jess, cover my section for a minute," Kesha whispered. Jessica rolled her eyes. "Again. 5th time today. Please." Just 60 seconds, Kesha disappeared into the storage room. David frowned. He'd seen employees sneak breaks, hide, steal, but this looked like fear. 5 minutes later, she returned, hands trembling. Then the kitchen door burst open. "Kesha Robinson, out here." Now, the diner froze. Mike Walsh, mid-40s, polo stretched over a beer gut, stormed out. "Mike, can we talk in the back?" "No, right here, so everyone sees what kind of employee you are." He flung open the storage door. A little boy, maybe 4, curled on aprons, feverish, clutching a broken toy. "Micah, it's okay," Kesha whispered. Mike blocked her. "Do you know how many health violations this is? His daycare wouldn't take him. He's sick." "I had to work," she pleaded. "You put everyone at risk. There's always a choice." Kesha's hands shook. "I need today's pay. Medicine for him. You should have thought of that before breaking every rule. You're done, effective immediately. Firing me." Her voice barely whispered. "Yes. 5 minutes to leave, or I call the cops." Kesha bent, scooped Micah, and walked out. Rain drenched them instantly. No coat, no umbrella. She hugged him tighter, disappearing into the downpour. The diner fell silent, then resumed. Mike dusted his hands. "All right, folks, back to work." David sat in the corner, coffee cold, hands clenched, watching the rain. Watching her vanish. Memories clawed up him. 10. In a car behind a diner, cold, hungry. Watching his mother beg, while a man said she wasn't enough. 3 days earlier, he'd seen the numbers. Riverside Diner had lost 21 of 26 employees. Walsh's record was perfect on paper. On the ground, cruelty. David built his company on one rule: take care of your people. That promise had vanished. He refused an HR audit. He was here to see the truth, because he'd started homeless. And a diner owner had once changed everything. "I'm sorry," she said, voice shaking. "We'll leave." "Please don't call the police, my son." James looked past her at the garbage bags stuffed with clothes and the 10-year-old boy shrinking in the back seat. Rain soaked everything. "You know how to wash dishes?" he asked. She blinked. I need help in the kitchen, James said. Day shift starts at 6, $8 an hour. You eat whatever's left at the end of your shift. He pointed to the building. There's a storage room upstairs. Cat, space heater, bathroom. It's dry. She couldn't speak. Tears ran down her face as James handed her the keys. Start tomorrow. Enroll your boy in school 3 blocks away. I don't know what to say. Show up on time. Work hard. He looked at the boy. You do your homework. Deal. That night, David slept warm for the first time in months. His mother worked at Morton's Place for 7 years, dishwasher, cook, then manager. James paid for David's school supplies, fed him daily, let him study at a corner booth. When David earned a full scholarship at 17, James pulled him aside. People don't fail because they're lazy, he said. They fail because nobody gave them a real chance. Remember that? And give people one when you can. David never forgot. 35 years later, sitting in his Tampa office with Riverside Diner reports spread across his desk, the words echoed. 21 employees gone in 6 months. How many were barely surviving? How many pushed out by a manager who treated people as disposable? That morning, David had watched Mike Walsh humiliate Kesha Robinson across the diner floor. Watched the room freeze, then look away. Watched her walk into the rain, carrying her feverish sun-no coat, no umbrella, spine straight. Up in his hotel room, David opened her file. Florida A&M University, Business Administration. GPA 3.8. Summa cum laude. Then a gap. Family medical emergency. A death certificate. Marcus Isaiah Robinson, age 29. Leukemia. David picked up his phone. Pull everything on Kesha Robinson, he said. Her husband, dead, with a toddler at home. The financials were brutal: medical debt, maxed credit cards, loans, repossessed car, $98 in savings. She lived in a rundown complex with safety violations, yet she'd shown up every day for 9 months. Perfect attendance until daycare sent Micah home with a fever. Mike's notes made David furious. Schedule changes denied. Pay advance denied. Written warning for calling out sick. She hadn't asked for charity. She'd asked for help while drowning. Her application said it all. Single mother, reliable, prior management experience. Eager to grow. And Mike had ignored every word. David opened a new browser tab and searched for Meridian Supply Chain. The result appeared instantly. Permanently closed. May 2021. She hadn't failed. The company had collapsed right as her husband was dying. After that came medical debt, funeral costs, and 2 years of survival work. Retail, cleaning jobs, grocery cashier. The resume told the story clearly. Constant scrambling. Never staying long enough because the pay was never enough. David had seen this trap before: full-time work, still sinking. Enough to survive this week, never enough to fix next month. James Morton had saved him and his mother from it decades ago. And David had built a company meant to prevent exactly this. Yet here was Kesha Robinson. Smart, qualified, buried anyway. His system had failed her. Let Mike Walsh treat her as disposable. Let her grind herself down while her son got sick and her debts grew. His phone rang. Monica, you get the file. Yeah. So what do you want to do? David studied Kesha's employee photo. She was smiling, but it was practiced. A shield. I need her number, he said. David, she has a business degree from FAMU Summa, cum laude management experience. And we wasted her for 9 months while Mike ran that diner into the ground. What are you planning? David remembered James Morton knocking on a car window long ago, handing over keys without asking for anything but effort. People don't fail because they're lazy. They fail because no one gives them a real chance. Clear my schedule tomorrow, he said. I'm offering her a job. The next afternoon, Kesha almost didn't answer the call. Unknown numbers meant collectors or scams. But Micah was finally sleeping. Fever down after her last $18 bought children's Tylenol. "Hello, Miss Robinson. This is David Sterling." The name meant nothing until he said, "I was at Riverside yesterday. I saw what happened. I fired Mike Walsh." She stopped breathing. "I own Sterling Family Restaurant Group," he continued. "Riverside is one of my locations. I'd like to meet today." "I don't have childcare," she said quietly. "Bring your son." Riverside was nearly empty when she returned with Micah on her hip. Jessica stared. A man stood from a corner booth, a quiet customer from yesterday. "Miss Robinson," he said, offering his hand. "Thank you for coming." They sat. Micah clutched his broken toy car. "I'm sorry for what Mike did," David said. "It violated everything my company stands for. 21 employees quit this diner in 6 months. That's not turnover. That's abuse." "I needed that job," Kesha said. "I know." He slid a folder across the table. "I pulled your full file. FAMU business degree. Summa cum laude operations analyst at Meridian Supply Chain." He met her eyes. "You're overqualified to be serving tables. So tell me, how did you end up here?" Heat crept up Kesha's neck. The shame of it. Having to explain how far she'd fallen. Meridian closed in 21. She said quietly, "I'd been there 2 years. They went bankrupt. Laid everyone off." She paused. "My husband was sick. Leukemia. He died 6 months after I lost that job." David nodded slowly. "I saw the death certificate in your background check. I'm sorry. We had some savings, but medical bills ate through everything. Insurance didn't cover half of it." Kesha's voice was flat now, reciting facts she'd lived with for years. "I spent 2 years taking whatever work I could find. Retail, cleaning offices, grocery stores. Every job paid just enough to keep the lights on, but not enough to dig out of the hole. And now you're $53,000 in medical debt." Kesha flinched. Hearing it said out loud by a stranger made it worse somehow. "Yes." Micah shifted against her, and she automatically smoothed his hair back, checking his forehead with her palm. "Still warm, but better than yesterday." David watched the gesture. "How old is your son?" "4. What happened yesterday morning with the daycare refusing to take him? That's not the first time you've had to choose between work and taking care of him, is it?" Kesha's jaw tightened. "No, but I've never brought him to work before. I didn't have a choice. His fever spiked overnight, and daycare said they couldn't take him until he'd been fever-free for 24 hours. I'd already called out twice this month when he was sick. Mike warned me that 3 absences would mean termination." She looked up. "So I hid him in the storage room and prayed he'd sleep through my shift. That shouldn't have been your only option." "Well, it was." The bitterness crept into her voice before she could stop it. "I asked Mike for a schedule change when Micah started preschool. Cool. He said no. I asked if I could swap shifts with someone when Micah's daycare changed their hours. He said company policy didn't allow it. I even asked for an advance on my paycheck once when Micah needed antibiotics and I was 3 days from payday. Also, no." David's expression didn't change, but something flickered in his eyes. "Mike documented all of those requests in your file and denied every single one." "Course he did." Kesha's hands curled into fists on the table. "Look, Mr. Sterling, I appreciate you firing him. I really do. But if you're here to offer me my job back, I can't. I won't put Micah through that again. I need something stable. Something where I'm not terrified every single day that one sick kid will cost me everything. I'm not offering you your old job back." Kesha blinked. "Then why am I here?" David leaned forward. "Because I think you're exactly the kind of person who could fix what's broken at Riverside, and I'd like to offer you a position as assistant manager." The words hung in the air between them. Kesha stared at him. "You're joking? I'm not. You want to make me assistant manager of this place?" Her voice rose slightly. "I just got fired yesterday for hiding my kid in the storage room. You got fired by a manager who had no business being in that position. David pulled a paper from the folder. Here's what I'm offering. Assistant manager position. Salary, $45,000 a year. Full benefits, including health, dental, and vision. Paid time off, 15 days to start. And access to our employee relief fund, which provides emergency assistance for housing, medical expenses, and childcare. Kesha's breath caught. $45,000. Benefits? She'd been making maybe $24,000 at Riverside with tips, and that was working herself into the ground. Why? The word came out sharper than she intended. You don't know me. You watched me get humiliated and fired. Why would you offer me this? David was quiet for a moment. Then he said, when I was 10 years old, my mother and I lived in our car for 3 months. We parked behind a diner in Atlanta. The owner found us one morning. We thought we were about to be arrested. Instead, he gave my mother a job washing dishes and let us live in his storage room. Kesha's eyes widened as David finished. His name was James Morton, he said. He told me something I never forgot. People don't fail because they're lazy. They fail because no one ever gave them a real chance. He met her gaze. You have a business degree, management experience, skills this company needs. But you've been stuck in survival mode so long, no one looked past it. Kesha swallowed. You're doing this because you feel sorry for me? No. I watched you yesterday. You handled 7 tables at once, calmed an angry customer before it exploded, remembered every order without writing anything down. He tapped the folder. Then I read your file and realized we've been wasting you. Mike Walsh was too focused on control to see what was right in front of him, someone who could help run this place. Kesha looked at Micah, coloring quietly. $45,000 a year, real health insurance, paid time off, childcare assistance. It sounded like a trap. What do you want in return? I want you to help me fix Riverside. Turnover is killing us. Morale's gone. Complaints are up. Mike drove away everyone who cared. He paused. I think you can turn it around. I need someone who knows what these jobs are really like. And if I fail, then we reassess. But I don't think you will. Kesha hesitated. I have a 4-year-old. He gets sick. He has school events. The relief fund includes subsidized childcare, flexible scheduling. And I won't penalize you for being a parent, David said firmly. I don't want people choosing between their job and their kid. Her eyes burned. I don't know what to say. Say you'll think about it. Yes, she said. I'll take the job. Monday. 9A.M. You'll work with Sarah Cole, the new general manager. As Kesha left with Micah on her hip, sunlight breaking through the clouds, she realized she was shaking not from fear, but hope. 3 months later, Riverside was transformed. New equipment, fresh paint. Calm, efficient staff. Retention up 90%. Customer satisfaction up 40 points. The expanded relief fund now helped employees across Sterling's locations. Her phone buzzed. David Board approved your proposal. Company-wide rollout. You'll lead it. Interested? She smiled. Only if we do it right, people first. Micah laughed over his pancakes, healthy, safe, thriving. Kesha thought of who she'd been 3 months earlier and who she was now. The change hadn't been magic. It started with one person who chose to see potential instead of problems and decided to be the help. And now, so would she.